Next up in the community space, we've got a Ask Me Anything from Niels. He's here in his glorious white suit, and
Yes.
he's here to answer your questions. So we'll have some mics that we can just pass around in the audience. Stick up your hand if you've got something. We'll get a mic to you, and then you can ask him a question.
Yeah, so the idea was, I know that there's some sessions going on over time, etc., but let's just get started. The idea was, if you have any questions around what we're doing with Umbraco, or what the HQ is doing, or anything you don't like that's going on, anything you like, anything you think we should be focusing on, whatever, I might be able to answer it, or maybe I can tell you that I don't know. But at least there's no excuse for not asking. I promise I'll be very kind and friendly. It's our values after all. Yep.
Yeah, the public certificate profiles of certified developers are gone. Is there a reason, or is it an error?
So the certified developers are gone from the Umbraco.com website, right? Believe it or not, merge errors happen for us as well, and I know the team is working on fixing it. But that's that's the true story. Yep. Yeah, the same. It also caused a problem with the partner page. Yep. Yeah. We discovered that first, or some partner discovered that first.
With Umbraco Cloud, first, big fan. Most of my clients are on the small not agency plan, whatever it's called. How do you recommend that we explain the upgrade process for those small accounts that require a $20 fee to add the environment? Plus, there's also, time for us to do the testing. I mean, obviously, don't be concerned about our billing part, but the $20.
Yep.
Because they're in the small plan because they're cheap already.
Yep.
So
the story is we have automated patch upgrades on cloud, and they run automatically. You don't have to do anything because we are at a point now where we don't break things, at least on purpose, with patch upgrade. They've been quite stable. Then whenever we do minor upgrades, there can be minor breaking changes. There can also be things, we can do a lot of automated testing, but you might use some exotic API or a package use some exotic API that will break. So we don't want to do that automatically. Plus, the back office might change. You might get new features for clients. So the idea was you needed a extra environment in order to run the upgrade. So the problem was when we introduced the small packages, where the price dropped from 89 to 25, there was only one environment. So if you want to upgrade to a minor upgrade, you need to add an environment, and you need to have that environment for a month because that's the minimum period, despite you might only use it for an hour or two. Then you can run your upgrade, and then you can merge it back in. It kind of sucks. I totally agree. I think one thing we need first and foremost is to make it more clear that to do minor upgrades, you will need an extra environment.
are you okay with us not doing the upgrades? Because it was kind of proposed over the years of this evolution that all Umbraco cloud sites were going to be running the same version of Umbraco. It was going to be super awesome, super easy, super slick. But now, like for me, with 12 accounts, I probably have 10 different versions of Umbraco running just based on the time where I set up the initial install on that small plan. Is the HQ fine with us leaving those at?
You probably have a maximum of 3 or 4 because you're automatically upgraded to the latest patch.
Okay.
And that's the most important thing for us. Our vision was that everybody would run on the same version of Umbraco, but reality have it that you launch a website, you might not make any new improvements to it, and you don't want to break it, and maybe a minor upgrade will break either your implementation or a package you're using. So totally fine with that.
My question is, when will we be able to retire Courier with Umbraco Deploy?
So the question is, when will Deploy replace Courier? Hopefully very soon. We've been running it on cloud for more than 6 months. And at one point we'll be ready to get it out in the wild outside of cloud. The wonderful thing for us on running on cloud is that we update it at minimum every 2 weeks, roll out a new version, and we love that pace. The amount of stability gets in, the better it is to tackle third-party packages, custom code, all these kind of things. So it will come eventually, probably Q1 next year.
What are your plans to sort of start marketing more stuff, making your Umbraco-ness more worldwide in in magazines and things like that? We've always spoke about this in the stand-ups, but what is the marketing plan from the HQ to sort of get your Umbraco-ness out there more? Because it always helps us if our clients are coming back to us saying, "I read an article, I've seen this." We need more presence on the shelf in things like that.
Yeah, I think the first thing to remember is the HQ is still really small. We're just 30 people. Sometimes people think it's a huge company and we're making massive profits, but we're just 30. Every time we can afford, we add new staff. So 2 years ago, we didn't have a communication or marketing department. Now we have 4 people working on marketing. Their first priority have been to fix Umbraco.com and to make sure that there's enough content on Umbraco.com so that when people actually learn about Umbraco, that it seems appealing. They're getting close around details around when they will then expand into proper online marketing and place art things in magazines, etc. I honestly don't know. No. That was quick.
I have a question.
We have no issues in Umbraco. That's fantastic.
I have a question.
Yes.
So every time there's a release of Umbraco, the Our Umbraco page will show all the changes and all the bug fixes, etc. And that's great if you're a developer, but if you're, say, a non-techie person, you don't really care that, now the new property editor converter works. Well, I don't even know what that means. It would be nice for us as an agency to be able to show our clients a very high-level list of wow features or wow things. Is that something that you could arrange?
Yes, and it's one of the reasons why we've been searching for a new CTO. So as some of you know, Shannon is our interim CTO, but he really want to get back into coding and doing the architecture. So we've been searching for a long time for a people product process person type of person. We think we found him. We're close. Hopefully these videos won't be out before we have salary negotiations. But a part of that is to have a release management cycle. So whenever the team is ready for a release, they hook up with marketing, which then translate some of the new cool things into something that people can understand. I think a great example is 7.7. If you look at how many hours have gone into 7.7, let's just roughly say that it's 1.5, 2 man years. I think we spent maybe a man week explaining what it actually does. There's some amazing things in 7.7, despite it's a minor. Some of it's stuff that was created around Code Garden, but a lot of things was earlier and very relevant to clients, and that's a huge shame. But we're working on it, and well, hopefully, first half of next year, when the CTO is in place, we have the processes in place, we'll see this more. But it's already on the radar. Yep. Will we do it retrospectively? I would love to. I honestly don't think we have the bandwidth. Again, we're really small. kind of it has become a problem over the years because we always show some really big, huge numbers, but you don't get rich giving stuff away. And then sometimes people think, oh, because we have a really beautiful office, we're just doing totally fantastic. But we have a wonderful office because we spend so much time there, and we invest in the people working in the HQ, not because we're making massive profits. So.
It is a very nice office.
It's getting too small. No.
So I submitted a pull request to our Umbraco that added a master label to anyone's profile. And I was looking into ways of actually making that more seamless. So when you submit and complete your master exam on the Umbraco.com site, it can just send a tokenized request to our, and automatically the label gets applied. And you could do the same thing with GitHub contributions and that sort of thing. But whilst looking into that, it got really interesting because I realized there's no central place to easily find out that this, our Umbraco user, is an Umbraco master, because everyone has different accounts everywhere. So I've got an account for Umbraco.com, I've got a separate one for cloud, I've got a separate one for our Umbraco, and I log into all my back offices with completely different things as well. Is there ever a plan to try and unify those in some kind of way?
There's not even a plan. There's work in progress on introducing the evil Umbraco ID, which will be like a one login or what do you call it, SSO for cloud, our Umbraco.com, etc. Yeah, we're gonna monitor you. Gonna know everything about you.
SVG footprint. When I first got our first cloud account, we were able to sign up for annual billing. So I have one account of the 13 that are annual and 12 that are monthly recurring. Is the annual billing ever going to come back? Because it's much less administrative work.
Yes and yes. That's also a work in progress, which is what Kim and Paul, for those who don't know us, is I guess they are our friendly cashier and our major friends maker. And their highest priority for almost 12 months has been make it easier for organizations to buy Umbraco Cloud. Any Umbraco Cloud customer who's been in touch and said, could you do something about this? We just switch you to manual invoicing. So you can always just get in touch. Yep.
So one of the best feelings sometimes is submitting a pull request, getting it merged. One of the worst feelings is submitting a pull request and it just dies. So there's several pull requests that are kind of in like unacknowledged state. Is there any effort to kind of acknowledge, either just say, no, that's never going to work, close, or at least get some feedback?
Yep, it's also a part of the CTO role. That said, we've reviewed over 300 pull requests the last 12 months from the community, and we love it. The problem is there's so many things we need to do, and sometimes there's no pull request coming for a week, and then sometimes there's 10 coming on a single day. We actually, in dev, we have 3 teams. So we have and these cycle between each other. We have a CMS team, we have a cloud team, then we have something called the Huntsman, which is named after the deadliest spider in Australia. It's really nasty, don't Google it. But the idea with the Huntsman team is it's support escalation, and then it's release management and reviewing PRs. And after we made that change back around the summer, we've been improving, but we still have some, it can be improved way more. It sounds really corporate-ish, but there's a term in this kind of management called an investment mix, which is basically a way for a CTO, for instance, or for the management to say, we want 25% of the time to be devoted to community work and reviewing pull requests, 50% to polishing and maintaining, and then 25%, for instance, to R&D. And it's one of those things we're going to look at, which will be the role of a CTO. I know there's nothing more demotivating than doing a lot of work, send in a pull request, and even not even hey, we're not interested, or we don't think it's a good idea. Just radio silence, and I hate when that happens. So I apologize.
Thank you.
Hi, so been talking to quite a few people over the last few days, and everyone seems to really like the certifications and the training, but we're getting a lot of people that are in remote places. We've got one in Canada, and we're just wondering if there's going to be any form of online option. I know you did an introductory course to get people up to standard, but I think a lot of people would like to sort of maybe do an online version of the certification. Is that a plan in the future?
Yep, we actually launched Fundamentals as a online training course, and it's more or less running almost only as a online course now. I think we've had 70 something doing the online version of the fundamental course, and we're looking at moving the courses that are possible to move in the same direction for the very, very reason. And we usually we've been running the online fundamentals in a US-friendly time zone and in a Europe-friendly time zone. Then we also tried with Asia, but nobody, well, 2 signed up. We should have called it, maybe we should have called it Asia Pac and or Australia, New Zealand, but definitely.
Hello.
Where's your wig?
Oh, I know. It was itching. I gave up. I'll put it back on for you.
Yeah, as
Just
long as
for
it's
you,
on your
Niels.
head.
Yeah. With the certifications, is there any way, we've brought it up at the Gold Partner Conference a few times, of tracking where developers are moving to in terms of agencies? Because obviously if someone says, yes, you're a Gold Partner and you've got X amount of qualifications and they all leave, of tracking that and seeing where developers are going.
Yeah, we first of all, we started auditing partners. Some got very furious about that. Basically to ensure that the quality is there. We're also now tracking if people are moving. I don't know how far it is, but I know that work has been done and it's been rolled out. The exact process of what's happening when we detect that developer is moving, I don't know the details about that.
Speaking of auditing partners, we have inherited at least one site from another Gold partner. I won't say who it is. It wasn't that good. It was slow, it was crashing. How do you audit something like that?
Honestly, we can't. We can make sure that the Go partners have a certain level of certified developers, so people who in theory would know how to build an Umbraco site. But you can easily have a Go partner that have X number of certified developers, but also other developers that are not doing the site. Go partners can also reach out to us and get architectural advice. Not everybody does that. So it's pretty much impossible to sort of audit the way partners do implementations. Even though I would love to. I mean, again, the worst thing I know is seeing in Twitter that some editors find Umbraco super painful and hate it, and then I reach out to them. Sometimes I get to see their implementations. I'm like, Jesus, this isn't Umbraco. This is, I don't know, something else. But it's really hard to do anything about it.
Can you make it a voluntary thing?
In theory, but again, it's a lot of work. The idea is cool. The idea is also cool that somehow that you could advertise that you've made this many website with a certain level of quality. But again, it's really difficult to first of all come up with a standard, and then again actually audit an entire site can be. I mean, most partners know that if they inherit another site, it can take several days, if not weeks, to actually go through an entire big Umbraco implementation.
So I guess going back to bringing some more money into the company, then is that not something you could have an external company, the ones that are processing all these websites, to say yes, they do come up to some sort of standard, and then I don't know, work out the details from there. But is there some space there that you could just partner up with somebody to let them do all the dog work, but you put your stamp on top of it afterwards?
If we are getting close into consulting, then, which is something we really want to avoid, and it would require us to point at some experienced Umbraco partner to do the auditing, which then would audit other Umbraco partners. It's at least it's. I love the idea, both of the ideas, but in practice, it's going to be. I think it's going to. I don't have an idea of how we could do that. No.
This is about packages, money packages. You know, obviously they do exist, you know, e-commerce out there charging huge amounts of money. But some of us, you know, at Umco are charging a sort of subscription per month where you get a bit of support, and that obviously that helps, you know, Matt Brailsford from write Vorto and nested content and whatever. But there's nothing so far with any sort of support from you guys at Umbraco HQ. Is there any thoughts, you know, where you think we should be going with this, or what should be happening, or you're trying to stamp it down because this is open source? What is your view?
I mean, there is nothing I would rather love than seeing some sort of sustainable open source ecosystem for packages. I've been trying to do it for Umbraco alone in 15 years, and I can tell you it's crazy hard. In terms of us taking responsibility for other packages, it would require that we could get in touch with the package creators. But it would also require that they would respond within a certain time frame, etc. So it's actually quite difficult. That said, we are looking into launching a app partner program, mostly targeted the bigger packages. It has two purposes. One, that you can go to Umbraco.com. We always say, Umbraco, you can pick and mix. Because there's this many e-commerce tools. There's, for personalization, you could do this, and you could just use a SaaS tool like Rich Relevance to do behavioral targeting, etc. But it would be nice if we could have a catalog of these third-party tools that actually has a Umbraco implementation that just work out of the box, and where we are setting certain levels of support, and we are actually going to audit that they get back. Per and others have been working on this for the past year, hopefully launching early next year. Yep. I think we have time for one or two more questions.
Or Matt Brailsford could just mine bitcoins on people's browsers.
That would be, it would be well deserved. No. And that's it. Again, if you rely on some of the high quality open source packages when you do websites, really try to explain your managers the difference it makes, and see if you could get some way of supporting these independent package developers. As Jonathan says, Umco, which is Matt Brailsford and Lee Kelleher, they actually have a subscription model where you can subscribe and you can get support, etc. So sometimes I know for some packages can also make you look good, but in order for this to be really sustainable, and if we should continue to be lucky with packages like Stack Content, Vorto, there's also an amazing workflow packages, I think it's called Plumber or something like that, that's been released over the last year. Then make sure to give something back of some sort. I've heard throughout the lifetime of Umbraco, I've heard people talking about that they've been supporting Umbraco for many years, and then when you actually ask them, it turns out that they've been using Umbraco for their clients for many years, but they never partnered up or bought certifications or did anything. And you support open source by either contributing to open source or by making sure that those making open source can make a living. So remember that. Cool. I think Callum is up next. Thank you very much. Great questions.